Hello, everybody, and welcome to another, I guess, sub episode of the Media Data Collaborative with Data Joe, where I'm getting to interview two people of media, Jacob Fogg and David LaFontaine, about a very interesting partnership. So I've kind of put my finger on the pulse. I try to keep my finger on the pulse of interesting things that people are doing that are going to benefit publishers, and these two are coming together with an offering that has to do with SEO and GEO. And the stories that they've both told me have caused me to feel it is appropriate for me to put this out into the world and ask some more questions. So welcome to the show, Jake and Dave.
Pleased to be here.
Yep.
For having us.
Good, good to have you. All right. So the first question is, let's start with Jake. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you do for publishers?
Yeah, I've been in the publishing industry for getting close to 20 years now. And at my heart, I am a technologist. I love technology. I eat, breathe, sleep technology. And what I found is, for the small to mid-sized publishers, you can't afford a technologist to be full-time on staff. And that's really a hard place to be in because without that role filled, you're falling behind the curve every day. And so what I'm able to do is to come in and help be that technologist on a fractional scale and help you improve and create strategy around your technology and how you can improve your publication on that level. And so, yeah, here I am.
That's good, man. And I'm gonna ask you. I may ask you a little bit more about your story later, but that's
Love
a
it.
that's a good start. All right, and then Dave, tell us a little bit about
I
yourself.
started off classically trained as a print reporter. Started off my career at the Arizona Republic, then became a daily newspaper editor at the ripe old age of 23 in Caracas, Venezuela. Came back to the United States, became a magazine reporter, made the switch over to digital during the dot-com 1.0 era. Uh, that was wild.
Yeah.
Then I became the lead technology researcher for the Newspaper Association of America, and I was tasked with doing the case studies in the mid to late 2000s when the newspaper industry was still trying to figure out how do we engage with digital technology. That really has provided a foundation, that work there, a foundation for my understanding of what the problems are. About 10 years ago, my wife launched this organization, for which I am the number one volunteer, called Sembra Media, where she set out to try to help digital news entrepreneurs in Latin America in Spanish. And for that, again, we've done these amazing research projects, just finished up one Project Oasis for Google that's taking it worldwide. And what I see from all of this, it's not exactly the same problems, but it does rhyme. And that's what a lot of that thinking has led me to what we're trying to do here. Trying to find the areas in there where there's a specific need, but publishers don't have the expertise nor the time to develop the expertise themselves. What do they need? How can they get it? How can we best do it to solve the number one well, there are two conjoined problems. It's audience and revenue. If
Yep.
you got enough audience, you're going to get enough revenue. If you're already having a ton of revenue, you can use it to build audience. They are joined inextricably here. And what we're looking at here, what I'm looking at here, what we want to do here is something that's going to solve that core issue in a way that the news industry really is waking up to, that they're going to need this. All right, next
That's
question.
good.
What we
All
got?
right, so shorthand here. So Jake is a fractional CTO.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dave, you're a fractional UX guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Designer and researcher. Yep.
and veteran researcher, right?
Mm,
So you apply the journalistic process, like excellence in journalism, to the exploration of audience behavior, and then the story of how a publication can capitalize on opportunities based on that.
correct. Yes.
So this is like a match made in heaven, y'all. Like I know these two very well. I wouldn't bring them on. I wouldn't bring them here if I didn't trust them and believe them both. And I've experienced the excellence in both of them. So my kids are knocking on the door. Hey, stop it, guys. I'm recording. That's going to be on the tape, whatever. Okay. Yeah, I'm a dad. I got kids. What are we going to do? Um, so I've never done anything like this before, but because this is explosive.
Okay.
Two of you together is explosive, and I know what it's going to mean for publishers in the future. So, um, I'm going to skip how did you meet? We can go into that later. We don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to skip how did you meet, and I'm going to go straight to what is the need? What
Mm.
is let's hang out with what the need is that you've seen and experienced in amongst the publishers that are your friends and clients.
Got it. Do you want to start off with this one, Jacob, or shall I?
Yeah, yeah. So, being in the role that I'm in, I work with a number of publishers across the US and Canada, and I've seen firsthand a lot of the problems that they're encountering. And one problem I see over and over again is, is the topic of SEO, right? Search engine optimization. As a publisher, you do everything you can to do it well, but unless you have an expert in house, it's really hard. And so what happens is you're chugging along and everything looks good, and suddenly you see a dramatic drop in organic search traffic, and you're like, what's going on? And so you bite the bullet, you spend the $5,000 to $10,000 to hire an SEO firm to come in and run a full audit for you. And the net result is you get a list of things you need to fix. And
Yeah,
hopefully you can make it through the list, you get the things fixed, and then you slowly start to see an improvement in your organic search traffic as a result of that. And so I've seen this over and over and over again with so many different publishers across the industry. And so my most recent encounter was with a publisher who was really struggling. The reason they called me is because of their SEO issues, and I ran through an audit with them. And about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I get a text message from the publisher saying, "Hey, should we start seeing improvements already?" And it's like, "Well, yeah, you should see some." And he's like, "That's incredible. We saw a 40% increase in search traffic," and I'm like, "That's fantastic." And an hour later, he said, "No, I made a mistake." 248% increase in organic search traffic. And it was like a light bulb moment for me
of
that
course.
we we neglect something that's so critical to a digital business
Yep.
until it starts to cause pain, and then we fork out a lot of money to try to fix it. And so, chatting with David, I'm like, "Hey, what can we do to break that trend? What can we do to stay ahead of it, to be reactive or to be proactive instead of reactive?" And
Yeah.
and that's what led us down this road. So David, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you see what you're talking about there with that growth. There's a ramp up because they get this 5, 10,000, whatever big report. They start to implement it. They implement it. They climb up, and then the rest of the year is this slow fall off
Yep.
until they get to the point again, and
Yep.
then they have to hork up a big wad of cash, and then they just keep on replicating that up and down movement there. And
Yeah, exactly.
what we kind of want to do is we want to stop stop the madness, stop the roller coaster ride here,
That's right.
and get people to like get up and start, at the very least plateauing through the year, maintaining their traffic at a steady rate, hopefully growing it throughout the year, growing it, deepening it. One of the things that, in my UX roles, engagement, trying to figure out how to make something that people want to use, how to make something that people can use that resonates with them. And,
Mhm.
SEO is at the beginning of them. That's how you get them, into the smorgasbord of all the stuff you got. And then we just got to make it easy for them to eat and pleasant enough so that they keep on coming back.
All
Right.
right.
And then
Quick,
I
quick
would,
question.
yeah,
Let
yeah.
me let me interrupt with a question because
Bring
um,
it.
no, no, you go, Jake. Then I'm gonna ask my question.
Yeah, so I would say, and then it goes a layer deeper because when I start to then have conversations with those publishers and they say, "Okay, we've got this baseline reset and things are looking
Hmm.
good now. What do I need my editorial team to do in order to continue to see growth, continue to see improvement?" And the reality is, if I break down all the stuff for them, if David sends them through the training course. It's a lot. There's a lot of little things that all add up to become something really big and really important. And to try to teach an editorial person everything in one shot, it's never going to stick. It's never going to work. And so
No.
the secondary goal, that the secondary problem we want to solve is how do we incrementally train these editorial departments over time so that over the course of the next 12 months, the entire editorial team is implementing all of the best practices to make sure the entire organization rises. And I think that if we can combine those two solutions together, our clients are going to see some incredible results.
Yeah. And not just on the editorial side. A lot of this also has to like hook into, if we're doing it right, to the business side.
Yep.
To, your advertisers, the new advertisers that you can now start targeting because you have bigger audiences or more targeted audiences, more well-defined audiences.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can start running better membership and subscription programs to start making more revenue that way. How you can
Hmm.
start spinning up better events so that you
Hmm.
can only in revenue. All this spectrum, we've identified in research 15 separate revenue streams that publishers can use to try to like build a sustainable revenue model. And
Yeah.
what what happens when we start looking at the numbers and start really drilling down into what the audience wants, needs, and is willing to pay for one way or the other, is that's how we start getting to a place where the publishers aren't constantly feeling desperate, like, oh my God, I have a bad month and I'm dead.
No,
Right.
this is good, man. So what I hear is data-driven decisions,
Yep.
right? Data storytelling, which is kind of your thing, Dave. Data storytelling, so that we can get out of gut, like kind of gut reaction
Yeah.
and into intentional activity, um, addressing the right things that are going to make the most impact for the business. And
Yeah.
we're talking digital, the digital side of the business. But I got a question for both of you. So this is a partnership, right? So Jake, like in your story, you started doing a version of this for publishers.
Right.
Then you saw an opportunity and you reached out to Dave because you thought that you could be greater together.
Absolutely.
What are the roles in your partnership? Who kind of does what in the partnership?
Well, Jake is an unmatched. He's a coder. He's a dev. He understands how to talk to computers and make them jump through hoops. And I think at CES now they have like, robot vacuum cleaners that now have arms and legs and they can move stuff around in your house. I'm sure that Jake, give him like an afternoon with those damn things, and they're going to be out there mowing your lawn, walking the
Yeah.
dog. Anyway, no, but Jake is an unmasked technologist, and he really has a grasp on how to get down inside of these systems and optimize things so that they work better.
Okay.
And
And well, let's do it the other way. Let's do the reverse. Then Jake, what's Dave's role? Since he just
And
told you your role.
yeah, David really is the front end brain. It's so funny when we started talking through this. I was like, Dave, one of the things we really need is a training program. And he's like, I've already created that. That's another huge skill that he brings. But he's the front end mastermind. He's the one who can bring all of the data together and make it tell the story,
Right.
right? I can make the data do something cool, right? He can make the data tell a story, and it's the story that really changes the game, right? You're doing the right things, and that's step one. Understanding what the next right thing is step two, and between the two of us, I think we can solve both of those problems.
yeah,
But yeah. What I love about this is both of you get to operate in your superpowers because I know
Yeah,
and have experience. I already know, right? Like Jake is your tech stack guy. He's gonna
yeah,
tell you and even do for you, right? Like the technology side of it, you've just got locked down. And Dave is gonna research and he's gonna dig deep. You're constantly, Dave, sending us articles about, yeah, look what I discovered. And I'm like, great, send it, man. I can't read it. I just need you to summarize. Just summarize it for me. You dig through too much for me to catch up with. But it's like that's your heart is to research, find the story,
right.
find the truth, discover the truth. The two of you together is insane, to be honest. Like I'm just pumped to see what happens. So um what are the components? well, okay, let me ask this actually. This will be a great framing question. There are some services that are done by you, you being the client, done by you. There's some that are done with you, and then there's some that are done for you,
Hmm.
right? So
Yep.
done by you is the least touch, right? It's
Yep.
the least invasive because it's like what those companies are doing that's causing the problem. It's like they're coming in, yeah, give us 10 grand, here's a report, we're out.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
done by you, not us.
Right.
We just give you the report,
Yeah.
right? That's the problem we're solving. So done by you isn't working.
Hmm.
Done with you, it's partnership. Like here's the report, and we're gonna help you a little bit.
Hmm.
And then done for you is like you go lay on the couch, we're gonna handle the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like where do you sit and which parts fit into which of those buckets?
Yeah. I would say we really span between done with you and done for you.
Okay.
Um, and
Yeah.
and that's the real goal because um, I would never want to be a done for you 100% because until we can marry that second layer, which is getting your team educated to do all of the right things, you're never going to see all the fruit of the labor, right?
Yeah.
If we just do the work for you, you're only going to solve half the problem.
Yeah.
And so I think we sit somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, and having Semper Media over the last 4 years has run media accelerators, transnational media accelerators, working with media companies to try to take them from one level of efficiency and profitability to the next level. And
Hmm.
Mhm.
what we found was if you try to impose a solution from top down, it might work. It depends, but it works a lot better when you're working with the people because they have field knowledge, they know their market, they know their people, they know all this stuff. You bring your knowledge in, work with them on that. It takes a little while, but you know, it's a custom cake rather than a one size fits all. You
Mhm.
know? And that's how we got to build it. Now, doing things for them, there are certain things in here where Jacob and I both know that sometimes you got to do something. They don't have the resources or they
That's
don't
right.
have the expertise, and they need somebody to come in and just, can you help me with this? Just fix
Hmm.
this one thing. Okay, we can do that. We can't fix everything. We can't run their businesses for them, and we shouldn't want to, and we don't.
Yeah.
But we can help them and fix the thing that's just like this little popcorn kernel. It's stuck between your teeth. Anyway,
Yeah.
Especially in the initial stage of the engagement, right?
yeah,
Especially at that initial stage when we perform that $10,000 audit that we aren't charging you $10,000 for,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we help you fix those initial issues that these have to be fixed before we can go anywhere else. Yeah, especially at that stage.
Then that's a lot of done for you stuff,
Yeah.
right? Early on, because like that's what you described in the story you told. The
Yeah.
publisher reaches out, this bad thing happened, I had this drop. Can you help me? Jake comes in, does some things, and then he calls back and says 200 and whatever, 40%
Right.
increase, right? But because you went, you know how to go right at the low-hanging fruit, right?
Absolutely.
yeah,
Like out of the gate, and then from there it's maintenance at a higher level. It's
Hmm.
you're helping them maintain that higher level so they don't sink back down into the pit of despair. Yeah.
Exactly. The pit. I
yeah.
love that pit of despair.
Pit of despair.
You haven't watched Princess Bride again, have you?
Princess Bride, baby.
Um,
Yes. You caught it, dude. You children of the 70s and 80s. Yeah, baby.
right.
Uh,
Woohoo.
all right. So this makes it pretty clear. Now, can you, as we close out, I'd like you to put it in as concrete terms as possible. What is the offering? What is the price? Right. So a publisher signs up and says, and they look at this video and they say, you know, Johnny, I love Media Data Collaborative, people of media, really anybody you bring on the show, I'm going to do business with, sign me up today, sight unseen. Let's say they say that, right? What is it? What is financial commitment, and then what are they going to get? What's going to look like working with you after that happens?
Um, at the lowest level, which is going to be the one that I understand you want to kick the tires. What it is we come on in, we do a really deep dive into your analytics, into the numbers, marry that with what's going on your site. What's the content looking like? What's the user experience looking like? What's the ease of you looking at this? Meanwhile, Jacob is doing his magic on the back end. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and so we'll run the full site audit. We'll figure out all the issues that are happening. We'll help you get those issues fixed. Again, because we want to get you to that baseline. And then once you're at that baseline, that's when we can start to actually see the real magic happen. And so with that package, the whole idea is we're gonna run the audit. We're gonna give you the help you make the fixes, and then set you on a path, a training path, and that offering starts at 500 a month.
Okay.
It's not a $10,000 one-time payment; it's a $500 a month relationship because we want to partner with you long term.
Yeah. And for that, what we will do is we will have a once a month meeting where we go over, hey, look, here's what's going on. Here's
Hmm.
what's right. Here's what's wrong. Here's the things that we're seeing that are kind of weird that bear more attention. And we just kind of work to make the people on your staff a little bit more data literate.
Right.
Yep.
Because both of us have seen, I'm sure you've seen, and you name checked it earlier, a lot of people are just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And looking at the data, looking at the analytics, this is not just something that a lot of people in publishing don't want to do. All manner of industries are just kind of like, whoa. It just becomes like a numbers overload, and they need somebody to
Yeah.
come on in and look at all this data and say, okay, here's what it means to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not trying to pay like just in my in my business. I'm not trying to pay somebody to come in and give me a big report and then
Mhm.
tell me all the things to do and then leave.
Yeah.
Like that
Right.
just never works, right? Like I'm always looking for somebody who's going to come in, um, do the heavy lifting up front, but then also walk with me and even spoon feed me little by little what I need to do based on my capacity because it's their expertise, it's not mine,
Hmm.
right? And so what I hear you saying is I hear three parts of the offering. I hear there's an audit, which is we're gonna check, we're gonna look under the hood and see what's wrong.
Yep.
There's there's immediate done for you fixes that are going to happen immediately. Like Jake's going to go in and he's going to start tweaking things in the engine, um, and then in accordance with the story that is discovered by Dave, because Dave's reading all the numbers and coming up with a story. The third part is monthly training. And I would say that training is probably training might not even be the right word because you're retraining habits, but you're also helping people create bite-sized strategy based on the data, what's actually what the story that the data is actually telling,
Yeah.
which is very
Right.
tactical,
Yeah.
right? So that they can have small upfront wins, small wins, and build on those small wins over time,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is the kind of hand holding people need.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
a lot of times, not always.
Which leads us to the next tier of this, which is okay, we're going to get more involved. It's not just going to be once monthly, it's going to be at a quicker tempo than that, like weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And give
Mm-hmm.
on Monday morning, you're going to get this thing that says, here's what's happening. Here's the thing that's going on. If you have a bigger site, you got a lot of traffic, you got a lot of content, you got a lot of areas, you're going to need something like this. And it's
Yeah.
going to help all those areas you to have like situational awareness of what's going on in there so that nothing blindsides you. And
Right.
also awareness of, hey, look, this new opportunity looks like it's opening up for you. You've
Hmm.
got something
Amazing.
going on here. Your audience wants this. They're responding to this. There's a bunch of advertisers that are probably like waiting to like fork over money for you to this, or you've got a newsletter that you can like spin out and get people to subscribe to. There's opportunity here.
Yeah.
And so that's the next level of it. You know, we do more. It's more of a time commitment from us, but
Yeah.
it's also more of a benefit to the publishers.
That sounds good. I think we've got it. I think we've got it wrapped at this point. Like I think what I wanted with this discussion was to have you put it into words, ask my questions, kick against the tires, try to get understanding for myself and for my audience, to see what the opportunity is. And then I think the last thing I'll say is just the just the trust I have,
Mm.
right? So, you know, I do a lot on trust. Both of you know me. I do a lot on trust. I put a lot of emphasis on trust. I try to behave with integrity, and I don't put my name on other people lightly. And so I put my name on this. like I I've seen you both in the wild. I understand your gift, and I think it makes total sense. If you, I won't take credit for your partnership, uh, but I will say I was the one that introduced you both. I will
Absolutely.
say that. So, and I've got a deep understanding of what makes each of you special and unique. So, I think we're gonna close up at this point. Uh, I mean, you know what? If somebody wants to have the last word, have the last word, and then send us out, man.
Last word is one of the things that we hadn't quite name checked enough here is the trend, and every conversation has to have the
Yep.
word AI in it someplace.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, say it. You got to say it.
So what we're looking at right here now also is future proofing your media organization. Right
Yeah,
now, as what Jacob was talking about with SEO, that's been a hard enough thing for people to come to grips with. The next level that's coming with this is what's known as GEO. That's for generative AI engine optimization. And that is it's a thing now. 60% of the search on Google doesn't people don't even click anymore because the answers are there. How do we
yeah,
make sure that you're part of those answers? How do we make
sure.
sure that you're there? That your media company, as more and more people start to shift on over to doing these AI powered searches, how do we make sure that you're not left behind?
That's
And
right.
that's going to be one of the big things that we're going to be also putting together for publishers.
All right, so I'm just going to throw that out there. These are also the GEO guys, right? Because that term is starting to filter down into the collective consciousness, and as that's happening, people are going to be like, "Well, what is that?" And you are the guys of the people that I know. You are the only people that I know that is blowing that horn. So other people that have podcasts or shows, these are the guys to talk to about GEO. Or publishers who just have questions, these are the guys to talk to about GEO. So all right, it's been awesome meeting with you both, and we can all ride off into the sunset at this point. Have a great day.
Very cool. Thanks, Johnny.